So thanks everybody for participating in this. I thought this would be definitely good to do, given what is going on right now in the world. A lot of chaos, a lot of deaths, unfortunately, and I feel like we need to come together beyond just protesting when someone dies. We definitely need to come together all the time so that we can advance ourselves and our race and our communities. I feel like a lot of us don't know the power that we hold and how we can definitely switch narratives to basically get us to where we should be. But we get so caught up in thinking and being involved in other stuff that it's just it doesn't happen. So I want us to take this time to do introductions and explain why you want us to participate, and then we just go into the topic. So whoever want to go first, go ahead and go first.
You?
Well, I'm Ajane. I mean, everybody on here knows who I am. Hopefully, no. But of course, I'm Ajane, and I just gave my reason why I wanted to start this. So you go next, then, Brandon.
My name is Brandon McCrue. I do a lot of youth work in the community in the city of Cleveland. My job, I am a security officer for Cleveland Metropolitan School District, and I also have my own youth mentoring program called Brand New Youth Mentoring. And I love my people, and I always try to come up and do what I can to try to help any way I can. So, and I want to come in, with some different plans. And one of my goals this year was just making a lot of new relationships, to find more like-minded people of the things that I'm really into.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you. Who's next?
I'll go. Hi, everyone. I'm Tanisha. I decided to get involved because I feel that as a people, we have so much more to offer and bring to the table, and so many things that we can do, but yet I feel there are a lot of things within just our community itself and a lot of lack of, knowledge about certain things that prevent us from moving forward and being ultimately self-sufficient on our own like we previously were in generations before. So I feel like if we could, break those chains and everything and get ourselves on the right path and fix some of our own issues within our community, we can make a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Colleen, we are just doing introductions, basically saying who we are and why we wanted to participate in this forum right now. So whoever wants to go next, they can go next.
I'll go. Hi, everybody. My name's Taz. I am a cannabis professional, but I do plan to be able to help build the gap, fill in that gap rather, or build the bridge between the cannabis industry and the Black community. I feel that it's only right that that we have a piece of the pie that has, kept our brothers, husbands, sons, cousins in jail for so long. So yeah, that's why I'm here. And of course, I love us and everything about us. And I want us to be better. So
I'll go next. Hi, everybody. I'm Jewel Jones. Been working with the youth for over 19 and a half years. I'm a current government employee. I work in law enforcement. I do a lot of stuff for the community outside of work. I'm a subject matter expert on a lot of things. So that was one of the reasons. The other reason, I always support Aisha and everything she does. I think that she's very powerful as far as her voice and a lot of her ideas and mission. I do believe in a lot of things that, she's fighting for. So of course, I'm going to stand on the front lines with her. And I think that what I can bring to this discussion is a lot of perspectives. Like I said, I've been a police officer, I've been in law enforcement for the bulk of my career. And African American and woman, it just puts a different spin and perspective on a lot of things. So whatever I can do to contribute, I'm just here.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go
Hello,
next.
my name is
Oh,
Gabby,
sorry.
and I'm just here because I'm supporting Shanae as usual, and we're in the same group. And not only that, I play a semi-big part in the movement because my grandfather, he was friends with Martin Luther King, and he's gone through the same stuff. Like he was in the civil rights era movement. He knows Jesse Jackson, Coretta Scott King, and all that. And I feel he left me with so much history for me to step in, and as a youth of his family, else is going to do it. So who else is going to do it? Share some of my history and why I that a lot of people's family history should be a part of this too. So I feel like I should share some of that. And I'm also majoring in African American history myself at school. I'm still in school, and I volunteer for the Cleveland Public Library. So they do like a lot of historical stuff there too. So I'm pretty much involved with some stuff around there. So I figured what's going on. That's all I got.
What?
All right, thank you.
Okay, my name is Colleen Davis. I am currently a social worker by trade. Been doing that for many years now. I've worked with adults and currently working with the youth in foster care. And I'm sorry, I want to say hi to Jewel Jones. I did not know she was going to be on here, but we went to grade school together. Hey, Jewel.
Hey,
You knew me as
yeah, how are you, sweetie?
good. Okay, I'm sorry. But just on here supporting Ajane. Me and Ajane are coworkers, and I just want to continue to support her. And also, I'm just tired of seeing this happening in our communities. And, I'm taking that opportunity to just speak up about what is going on. And I also want to set a good example for my two daughters to let them know not to just stand by and speak up. You have a voice, and you need to use it. And we all know that voices can make change. So I'm just here to contribute and making a change in what we are experiencing in our community.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Phyllis and Jane.
Hi, everybody. My name is Phyllis Latham. I'm a really good friend of Colleen Davis, and I hope you don't mind. She invited me to come here today because I, too, am very concerned of what's going on, in our city. And myself, I have a medical background. I'm a medical assistant by trade. I'm currently working with Centuri for Social Security Administration. I help those that are handicapped and elderly apply for SSI and SSDI if they need it. So a little bit about me. I do have 3 home-based businesses that I work with, and I work with a lot of women's groups. And one of the things that I have saw that just broke my heart is the fact that it's almost like a repeat of what my parents went through in the 60s. My mother was pregnant with me during the riots in the 1960s. That goes to show how old I am. But but I remember it so well. Some of the things that went on when I was a little kid in the early 70s. It's almost like if their history is repeating itself, but it's getting worse. And unfortunately, we still don't have it together. And I want to be a part of an organization to um, help our community, our nation. And I know we have to start somewhere to see what's really happening, what's really going on. I strongly feel that yes, education plays a big key. For us to know one another is to know our history, where we came from, what we stand for. And if we are not implanting that in our children, that's where we get lost. You know, we have to fight for something, not just our lives, but for what our forefathers have died for. And that's what we have to continue. We have to continue that legacy to instill it, making sure that our children and our grandchildren are taught about their inheritance, their legacy, starting now. Because if we don't have anything to fight for, we'll just be fighting in vain. And that's my personal opinion.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming and participating. So that leaves you last. Yes, you.
Who, me?
Yeah,
Yes.
Mama.
Oh. Okay, my name is Beverly. I'm Ajane's mom. I want to say hello to Jill Jones.
Hey, Ma.
School, my oldest daughter, Lakita. I've known their family for many, many years. I'm on here for support. I'm not much good as a talker, so I'm going to listen, and if I need to add comments or whatever, I will. But I'm here to support my daughter, Ajane. Hello, everyone else.
All right. So thank you everybody for participating. So the first topic that I had written down for us to discuss was, what are the major issues that the Black community faces as of right now, and how can we change these issues? So whoever wants to just start. I just ask that everybody gives everyone the ability to talk, and please don't be disrespectful. I know we all have different opinions. We may not agree. That is okay. We still need to get our opinions and options out there. So who wants to start?
You start.
I'll start then. So I think one of the biggest things that is an issue within our communities is the fact that we are so divided and we are not on the same page in regards to a Black agenda, in regards to advancing our communities, in regards to just advancing Black people as a whole, period. Like I was mentioning before, the only time you see us really come together is when some of us die. When we see cops do stuff to us. We need to be like this all of the time. Just looking at purchasing power in the United States, we have $1 billion purchasing power, and we give money to everybody else except our own, because we're so divided and so separated and not on the same page in regards to our businesses, anything like that. So I think that is definitely an issue that we need to tackle in our communities. It's definitely an issue that we need to just put out there on the forefront, period, because we can't just be only protesting when it comes to us dying. We have to be doing other things to help advance our communities, period. So who else?
One thing I would add to that, Aisha and I were briefly talking before everybody got on the Zoom call, and that was one of the biggest things. You know, a lot of us on here are constantly doing the work, and just because we're not on social media every day broadcasting the work that we do, we're still putting in that work. And it's kind of frustrating when the media sensationalizes something and then everybody else wants to jump on the bandwagon until the next big thing happens. Not waiting, you know, until something happens. Be proactive, and because all of this stuff is ongoing. And the only reason I feel that people are so accelerated and so excited and so emotionally charged right now is because it was actually filmed and it went live and it went viral. So now everybody is in an uproar because you have other people talking about it. And a lot of people that's on this call, among other of our colleagues, we're dealing with this every day, especially with us that deal with the young people. We have our own people killing each other every day. And it's not problematic until it becomes a problem for us personally. So we need to continue to not only do this at times when violence occurs, but on the background to prevent it from ever happening again. And so I guess that's really what I came and then, you know, I have an issue with the black versus white thing. It should be everybody versus whoever's racist or providing injustice to everybody. And that's how I look at it. Not saying that black lives don't matter, because we do matter. But at the same time, we can't do the work alone. Other people have to play their part. And that's another thing. Understanding that everybody has a role to play. Everybody can't do everything. And so that's where your unity part comes in, Aishanae. And I'll let somebody else just add on to that.
And to piggyback on that, you know, I hate when people say that it's just the black versus white thing, because in my opinion, if our issue is with the police, this is a black versus blue thing, not a white thing. This is, if we're calling for police reform, it's gonna be police reform of all police. And that's just it.
I think one of our issues is there's a lack of education on various issues, or misunderstanding about different issues, whether it's laws and things like just simple things like the census that just popped up recently that we have to fill out. How many of our people actually know how that's going to affect them if they don't fill it out? You know, if things like that we just lack education. And if we don't know, we don't try to go look it up. We don't try to find valid sources to help us understand how this is truly going to affect us. And that's where we get in trouble at. Because if we don't know, they're not going to tell us.
Exactly.
So it is our responsibility as a people to try to educate ourselves as best as possible to help advance ourselves.
Exactly.
And real quick about the sources, that's another thing. Stop believing everything that you see posted.
Yes.
Go fact find and make sure that that's the truth. I mean, I would post what's gonna bring the most attention to me. I mean, after all, you know, people be on social media for the likes. Don't just look at that and take it for face value just because it has a CNN at the bottom. People play with news and facts and all that kind of stuff all the time. So go do your own research and educate yourself and make sure that's factual information before you go responding and sounding off. That's how the
That's what I
issues.
keep trying to tell people. Yep, I keep trying to tell people that, you know, it's not up to us at school because, you know, not going to do it. They're not going to, you know, they're not going to teach it themselves. The other kids, they got to learn how to do it on their own. And that's why I keep trying to tell everybody else, like they need to not, because when I went to school, I went to a Jewish 99.9% Jewish school, but it was also white people there too. But the minority of us was like Black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever. But they did not tell us the whole story. And that's what I found out. Because when I went to college, they told us the whole truth and nothing but the truth. But they went to the nitty-gritty of everything. So when I went to college, I was like, wait a minute, I didn't learn this shit in school. I didn't learn all of that stuff. But they didn't tell me that. You know, I went to all white. I went to Shaker too. Like I went to Shaker and I went to Orange High School. Like those are two of the same in a way. and they don't tell us the whole story.
Mhm.
You have to go find that out on your own. And that's what I've been trying to tell people. I'm like, you can't rely on what the school teaches you. You have to do it. And I did everything on self-research by myself before school and before college. You know, I did the best research comes from your family. But they've been there before us. That's the best research. So like when I asked my grandfather, I'm like, okay, so what did you guys do, you know, with Martin Luther King and Jesse Jackson and whoever? Because, you know, they had the source, they had the pictures, they had the proof, they had the story. You know, so it's all about self-research, like everybody else said, and rely on other people. And that's what I've been trying to tell others on social media. You know, and they get all mad and, you know, they get all butthurt because of stuff we said.
And I
they're
wonder
not
why
gonna,
that is. Because,
you know, sit back and be like, oh yeah, I agree, bro. Like, I don't understand.
Okay, Gabby, your phone is kind of like going in and out.
They're not, you know.
I wonder why that is, though, that we lack that that education. Because I feel like there's enough Black teachers to at least get that information out there. Like, I feel like, Ajane, you know, we went to an all-Black Catholic school. And honestly, after I left San Adelbert, I really didn't have any knowledge of Black history beyond Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Langston Hughes, and maybe Jackie Robinson. That was it. Oh, Rosa Parks. So let's throw her in there. But that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as like stuff I knew, me being able to throw out some Black facts, some Black history, we revert to Martin Luther King and Malcolm X all the time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I didn't even know who Angela Davis was, like have a grasp on who she was, until after I left San Adelbert. That was an all-Black school.
Right.
Well, it was an all-Black school. We went to Catholic
school. I did not have that education. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but we went to Catholic school where it was all-Black students. You have to understand the politics of it.
Yes.
You had all-Black students. It wasn't an all-Black school. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So as kids, we didn't understand the politics of it, but the reality is they were ran by whites, but it just was predominantly Black, which we went to. So I went to Catholic school all from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. And I can tell you the different dynamics and different experiences of that. And it was predominantly Black. But our teachers were what? White. Or either none. So, I mean.
White.
Exactly. And I mean, I've experienced that my whole life. I went to, like you said, St. Adelbert, a Catholic, and then turned around for high school, went to a predominantly white high school where it was like a handful of us and a student ratio where it was 300 of them. So like, no, of course they're not educating us on us because we really ain't there. So
right.
What about you, Brandon? You quiet. What you got to say?
You on mute.
Unmute yourself.
I got it. You got it. I'm back. One of the problems that we have in the Black community is very evident in this meeting. There's only one man in here. So
there was some other fellas that signed up. I told them. I hit them up and said we started.
You know, they want to sign up. They want to talk to you when you talk that other talk. They don't want to talk about no, you know what I'm saying? Nothing serious.
Yeah.
that's one of the problems I think, and then just us creating and like she said before, like I know myself, I put a lot of things that I do on social media, but so much stuff don't even, reach social media.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, somebody called me before I got on this call, like come down on Sunday night. What I'm going down there for? Like, I mean, they broke into the villa. But as I'm looking, they broke into the villa on the west side near my house also. Like, what I'm gonna go down there for? Like, I'm in the street, I'm working every day. Like, this ain't a time just to call to see, oh, well, you ain't real because you ain't come out when I told you to come out. Like, well, that's one of the things is, and me, I just really rely on to try to build, they say it's easy to build stronger children and repair broken men. That's why I work so hard with the youth and just being there because we wait till the problems manifest until it boils over to the young man that's 15, 16 years old in the custody of police with a gun in his hand or so before we try to, give him some help at 5, 6 years old when right now we dealing with a lot of homicides and people that the young kids are losing their dads or mothers out here in the street. And it's just like an agenda in itself. What do we want to do? Like the history part, I work in the school. We don't have very much Black history. We don't even really have Black history programs going on.
Yeah.
In the public school and, right now. So that you're gonna have to teach that themselves. I take kids to Black History Museum for the last 11 years myself. Like, so one of the things is, just researching things on your own. And then when you have a little knowledge, try to spread it. Use forums that you can use like this or whatever. If you open to meeting new people that seem like, okay, they got some good ideas, I may can learn from them. But I just think one of the things is, I hate to put the pressure back on y'all, but the women, the mother is the first teacher. If you teach a man, you just gonna teach an individual. He may show somebody, but a mother is she gonna raise a nation. She gonna teach the whole neighborhood. And I think that's what we got. We have to get back to those things, just holding people accountable. Because ultimately, if the woman hold us accountable, a man gonna have to be a man, or she gonna get gone.
Okay.
All right.
So, because what he stated in regards to the question about that, but before I go to that question, Colleen or Phyllis, do you guys want to share what you think the issues are within our communities, or would you like to take the next one?
No, I did want to add that, like some of you have stated previously, I was pretty much in Catholic school, from grade school all the way to high school. And no, I did not know anything about my Black history. All I knew was, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, but I did not learn the majority of my Black history until I got to college and I was an adult, which is a sad thing that I feel like that I didn't know, my Black history like I do now until I was an adult. And that's because I did all the research on my own. So I just want to piggyback on what he has stated. A lot of the problem is generational. We have to teach our youth. We have to educate our youth as well. And, we educating ourselves, but let's educate our youth so they will know, because they are our future. The youth are the future. So I agree with everything that everybody said.
Okay, good. Yeah, definitely. It always just brings me back to what Minister Farrakhan stated in one of his interviews a long, long, long time ago about how if we knew more about ourselves from our past history, we would have more respect for ourselves, and others would probably have more respect for ourselves because they don't know either. So we also focus on teaching those who are white too, because they don't know. And it's just like, I'm trying to think, it was a class that I was in Cleveland State, and I forgot what it was. I think it was an African-American class. Now I don't know what the name of it was, but we were talking about Black history, and they didn't even know the fact that America was stolen from the Native Americans. So there was a big argument about this in class. Like, how do you guys don't know this? And we're going on 26 years old. So not only do we need to be educated about our and our kids, but so do they need to be educated, because maybe they'll see life a little bit different, and like Minister Farrakhan say, have a little bit more respect for their roots and where they came from. So the next question that how can we get those of the younger generation to focus on current problems, and how are we able to educate them and to fully understand what has happened throughout history? How can we make it more interesting for them to even learn it?
Put it in a song, they'll learn it.
You know what?
I was just gonna say
That's
that.
very well, look, that's very true. You know what I
Put it in
mean?
a song.
I mean, Aisha knows just the kind of work I do in the youth prison system. You know, I mean, I guess I could just speak from experience. That topic can go on and on and on, and she know the struggles that I've been through. Like my subject of expertise is the youth involved in gangs, and everybody want to know why these kids join gangs, why do kids
don't have no love.
And that's what I was going to say. Just go to the basic Maslow hierarchy of needs, and you'll have your answers right there. Everything that's entailed in there, the basic needs. Basic needs are not being met. That's why kids join gangs. Kids don't join gangs at a higher percentage just because it's the thing to do. How many people you know want to put themselves in a line of fire or danger? Exactly. I would say maybe in my experience, 3% of all our kids that are involved in gangs is because they grew up in it and that's all they know. But at the same time, it's still an element there where they don't want to be involved to that degree. It's a matter of them being loyal to whoever grew them up in that terrible environment, that negative environment. But how can we educate kids? I think Miss Beverly made a great point. These kids love this music. They love, sensation. But at the same time, Brandy, you hit it. These kids want to be loved. That's the biggest thing. I mean, these guys come in here, and I'm not making anything up. I mean, committed the most heinous murder you can ever think of, and people look at them and they already have a formulated opinion of them. And so the way I had to change my thought process and thinking on how to reach these kids, treat them as a Jewel, treat them as an Aijane, treat them as a Brandon. Don't characterize them based on the offenses they committed, because if we continue to treat them as such, they're going to act as such. So if you start calling them by their name and addressing them as such and treating them like that human being and pulling out that humanity and educating them and teaching them in that way, first we have to teach them how to live properly and appropriately and to respect themselves as well as each other before we can get to anything else, because it's cyclical in that. And we done ran through mothers who done had kids, who done came through the system again. So it's a cycle. And until we break that cycle and stop and educate one element of that family dynamic, if we can't do that, we're fighting a losing battle. So we got to break it at some point. And I tell people all the time, if I could save one kid every 365, I'm doing my damn job. And because that is so hard to reach one kid. Because what we're doing, we're confining them for 6 months, a year, to the 21st birthday, whatever the case may be. But then we're sending them back out in the same environment.
Right.
Just throwing them back into the wolves. So we got to get into the family, fix that family while we're fixing this kid. And then when they come together, still put some wraparound services in place so that we can keep that family together and sustain them in the community. And that's not happening. And she know I done been attacked, ridiculed, everything for trying to make this happen. But I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop my mission, because that's what we need for our people.
Exactly.
They making money off of us being incarcerated and locked up. Let's just tell it for what it is.
Oh yeah, definitely. What were they giving to kids in the hills? So they got them working at Burger Fee or whatever, and they only making like $1 an hour or something.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, something like that. But and again, we go back to the politics. That's why I said this can open up to a whole lot of things. But I do like the concept, because you're teaching them work ethic in the same instance. So I get it, but if we don't fix where we throwing them back to, and I hate to keep saying that, then we're wasting our time.
I had a friend of mine tell me before that the only time in his life until now, and he's older than me, that he ever had any structure growing up, he received from the juvenile since, like, he never had that at home. So, and we talk about teaching the kids history. I can break it down it'll cost me about $1,100 for a bus to take the kids to Charles Wright Museum in Detroit, which until the Smithsonian opened was the world's largest African American history museum. It costs about $6 a kid to get the person in the museum. So, and it cost me $500-600 to feed 35 kids. So, for under maybe $2,500 for 11 years, you take these kids out to this museum. I had a young lady who was in John Hay. She was 15 years old, and she was in the 12th grade. She was very smart. And she said it was a display in the museum of a Ku Klux Klan uniform. I said she didn't know what that was. So but now, I had young ladies who were going to like Beaumont, and they go back to school after they come from this tour, and they ask the teacher why they got to put their race on the test, or something like that, on the SAT or AC, like, oh, y'all shouldn't, But the thing of it is they don't know. With those young people now going to their senior year at HBCUs and things like that, you have to show them. We take our kids everywhere else. We buy them $200 sneakers. We get them $500 phones and everything else. But it's a Google search. Black History Museums. Anything that, like, what's some books? Like, my mother gave me the book, Miseducation of the Negro when I was 13 years old.
Yes.
That ain't going nowhere. I know a guy that's 60-something years old that drive around with that book in his car like it's a Bible. I bought that book for several kids. I took kids to Frederick Douglass Home in Baltimore, in DC. Like, those things is something that we can do on our own and get behind it. Like, nobody is going to, if the same system that funds the prison is almost like the same system that funds the school. So it's like, if I'm putting $100 into the prison with $3 in the school, where do you think I'm gonna make some money off of when they go to prison? Nobody is going to save it to be like, I work in the K-8 building. That's like one of the worst things that you can happen is have a kindergarten through 8th grade. And you got some kids in my building are 15, they on house arrest, they coming from juvenile, and they in the building with kindergarten students. Eating the same cafeteria, things like that. Like, some of this stuff is just, we talk about, these kids want to know, like, you want to know structure. You want to know some things. If having a program in school. I remember we had a Kwanzaa program, and my principal gave me the word Nia, meant purpose, and I've stuck with that since 6th grade, since she gave it to me. Still, the little bow tie, I remember that, like, that was an honor that she picked you out to those things, and we just have to get back to the basics. I know I'm going on, but, like, the basic things, like, I had 25 boys in a hotel room in Washington, D.C. maybe 4 years ago. We were having our man talk because I had the girls in another room and they have their own little time. And I asked the young man this question.
25 black boys?
Huh?
25 black boys?
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
I've been taking 30-some kids out of town. Other than this corona, we would have been gone in August. So we didn't, this has been 11 years, and my 11th year doing the summer exposure tour. But I asked them this question: how many of you have ever been told by your mother or a member of your family that you ain't shit? And everybody in their room raised their hand.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so sometimes it don't be the outside world. It don't be the outside world. And the man, you know, sometimes we don't know our frustration. That's why I put the onus on me as a man. Sometimes we leave women broken and things like that. They taking it out on their kids. It's pressure. They got to go through all this other stuff, and you know you might be the father, and so like when you say that pressure, like, well, you the man of this house. He ain't the man. He 14. He a boy. That's your son.
Exactly.
But that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody. It's pressure to be hearing your mother in that room crying when you don't think you think your child heard you because you trying to figure out them bills. You know what I'm saying? So eventually he gonna be like, I'm not about to keep seeing my mother like this. I grew up in it. By the time I was in 6th grade, you know, if it's 10 boys in the class, 6 of them was selling rocks. It's 1991. This is real true story. But it was like, it's okay you make your first $100. Your mama might take it and flush it down the toilet and take that money. But you come in the house and you got $2,500 and she did got a $400, $500 paycheck. It's a whole different story now. And then it's like the cycle is just born. You know what I'm saying? And people get into those things, but I just understand like these kids need love and they need the basic things. Because if you are, and I'm quite sure anybody that really work with young people, sometimes that's a lot of power to have. I remember managing the rec center. I got into a counter with somebody, and I get to work the next day, and the young boy just like say to her, like, well, these kids keep wanting to come see you. These boys want to keep coming see you. I'm like, well, what's going on? So they like, man, we heard so-and-so got into it with you. He was disrespecting to you. You want us to shoot his house up? I say, no, man, what you talking about? Y'all can't do that. But he say, man, you like a father to us. Nobody ever showed us no love. So if I'm just a different type of guy, yeah, go ahead. But those are the things like they searching for love. You'd be surprised what you get out of them that cost you $10 over a sandwich.
Right.
You know, and the French fry. And just giving them some of the attention, just showing up. But that's all. I ain't mean to go too long.
No, we needed that.
We needed it from my brother. We did.
Yeah,
I'm
we
sorry.
did.
That's what they looking
Brandon,
for. A lot of young people, you know,
right.
young girls, like.
Hold on,
That
Brandon.
is so
I'm
true.
gonna just say something to you.
Not for nothing, but
Phyllis?
I can't.
Oh, no, I was just gonna just tell Brandon I applaud him. I take my hat off to you, brother, because we need young black men like you to be in these young people's lives. Right now, my boyfriend lives in Erie, and he's dealing with a very similar situation. He works for boys prison over there. And these young men, unfortunately, oh my God, did some of the most horrific crimes you could ever think of. He wants to, form like some type of program for them because once they turn 18, they're on their own. And that's what him and I are trying to put together right now because you're exactly right. If they don't get the love that they need at home, then they try to find it elsewhere.
Right.
And sometimes it's the wrong kind of love. That comes from also that conditioning of the mind. That conditioning of the mind, when you tell somebody they ain't nothing, put them down, that's what they're going to think. And then they start trying to, or should I say, be around something or someone that will accept them, not knowing that that's the worst thing they could do for themselves. But I just wanted to say my heart goes out to you. Almost, man, that just brought tears in my eyes because I know what you mean. I've seen it myself. I have a cousin right now who went to prison at the age of 17, and he ain't never getting out. And this was years ago, for shooting someone, shooting and killing someone. And just last month, right here in Cleveland, there was a 14-year-old boy shot down because he had some type of gun in his hand, getting ready to shoot his police officer. So the police officer had no choice but to fire. And kind of find out this boy, this young man we thought was a man, was only 14 years old. Just went down the wrong path, you know. And it's just when I see stuff like that, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So it was heartbreaking to see that, you know, our young people are dying for nothing. And like you said, it's not always people on the outside, it's from what they learn within. So I think that's where we have to start. Maybe somehow, some way, develop programs to teach these young mothers that, unfortunately, you know, have gotten pregnant before their time. You know, how to pour into that young man or how to pour into that young girl, because they don't have a direction. A lot of times they're left alone, kicked out of the house, you know, not knowing what direction to go. And the first thing they do is get on the welfare system, you know, where nowadays it's become a way of life. And they don't know that there was so much more, you know. And I'm not going to put it down because, hell, I'm not going to lie to you. I was on it, you know. My husband left me with 2 kids to take care of. And I didn't have any job skill or nothing. I got married right out of high school. And I was raised in the country. So to come up here to a big city, not knowing anybody, raising 2 kids, it was scary as heck. But, you know, praise be to God, I made it. But a lot of people don't. You know what I'm saying? And then when they got of age, I ended up moving them back down south in the country because I was so scared. My son was going to get in the gang and not be able to see 21. Same thing with my daughter. You know, she made it through high school, thank God, you know, without getting pregnant. But as soon as she got ready to graduate, I had a granddaughter on the way. You know, and that was for me having to work all the time and not be at home. No father being in the house. I didn't remarry until after, you know, they graduated. So it was more or less like, damn, if I do and damn if I don't. You know, you try to pour and pour and pour into these kids, and then you don't have the help. You don't have nowhere to go. You know, so you do your best, and then before you know it, they're learning life off the street. And I know we can't save everybody, but I just wish that there were more programs and opportunities for teenagers to turn to so they don't turn to the street. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make a difference because I'm sick and tired of seeing our young black men and women turn to nothing and end up with no life. Be it dead, be it in prison, whatever the case may be. You know, there's so much more that we have to offer, you know, and there's so much more in us. It's just a matter of being at the right place at the right time and having people willing enough to teach us. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of singers out here and dancers, but what about teaching them about us? You know, space, teaching them about politics so we can get those congressmen out of there, get that thing, number 45 out of there, places like that. You know, they want to know how can we make a difference. Teach them how they can start right now, molding them and showing them that there is a better way. But yeah, like you said, it just takes so many. It takes many of us to come together to do that. Not one person can do it alone. But again, I applaud you, brother, for doing what you're doing, and you too, Miss Jewel. I really admire what you're doing as well.
Thank you so much. I was gonna say real quick, Miss Phyllis. In one of my talks, I talk about something I titled "The Broken Blind Syndrome." And some of you could kind of imagine from the title what that means. You know, I've been a police officer. I've been a parole officer. You know, so I've been on both ends. And so sometimes it leaves me with mixed emotions. But you can knock on the door sometimes and say, hey, you know, I'm introduce myself. I'm so-and-so. You know, I'm the officer for such and such youth. I'm just here to try to reach out and help the youth. Did you see anything happen? And this will be the very person peering down that blind, peeking, and can tell you A to Z what transpired. But when it comes down to it, because it didn't affect them at that moment, oh, I don't want to be involved. My hands are off of it. But it takes a village because that's how I was raised. If I did something on the corner of that street and I live 4 houses down, guess what? I'm getting 5 whoopings. Because I'm going to get one from every household until I get home. And then the biggest discipline I'm going to get is from my mom and dad because I embarrassed them and I was out there acting a fool. And we've lost all of that. Because I've came across parents who are 100% supportive and rehabilitating their kids. And we got to get out of with these youth. I'm so tired of hearing people, we need to rehabilitate you. How can you rehabilitate somebody that hasn't been taught? So it's all about habilitation, not rehab. You can't rehab somebody that haven't learned anything. So I don't want to be on my soapbox, but that's my biggest peeve with the community. And that's what I was talking about earlier. I bet you they know everything that went on in that certain area. But when it comes down to holding someone accountable, because it didn't affect me in my household at that moment, it's not my business. But let's say 2 hours later, that same person that we were coming after to try to hold accountable comes and accosts them. See, y'all didn't do y'all job because X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? So this is the big piece with Aisha. I think what you were trying to pull together. You know, there is no unity, and until we meet that element, that's where our biggest conflict is. We do not stick together for anything unless it's for a mutual, well, for an individual benefit, I should say, because the mutual benefit is not there. We're not there. We're not there. Let's all be honest about that. But if it's something that's going to benefit me personally, yeah, I'm in, only to the point where I probably got to do more work than what I expected or what I wanted to do. So when you got to put in the work, that's why it's 9 of us sitting on this call now. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because when you got to put in that leg work, no, I just do it. And then what about our people who just want to take credit? Oh, I was on the committee, but you ain't did nothing.
You ain't doing nothing.
Right.
And everybody on here, I'm sure, is not for no credit and want their name out on the forefront. Because, you know, I done told people plenty of times, don't give me no award. This is my mission. This is my journey. This is what I'm called to do. And a journey is never a destination. A journey is where you're working towards going, and it's never ending. So don't tell me, oh, I'm on a journey, but I'm only going to do up until here. No, because it's never ending, and it's ongoing. And a lot of people don't want to put in the work, but they want to take that credit, just like we get now. You got people jumping out on the scene, just like they call a brand, hey, come down here. We done stole a couple of sneakers. Now, what did that do?
They want to, you know, people want to challenge your what you about, because they feel like everybody is so aware, everybody is so conscious and everything. Now they more enabled to do something more than you do, or they got a right way to do it. But like one of the things I often say is kids haven't changed at all. The boys at 10 is still doing what I was doing at 10. The difference is the adults change. My mother was never my friend. My grandmother was never my friend. My uncles was never my friend. They still not today, and I'm be 40 next month. They still not my friends. They are. That's my mother. That's my my grandmother is deceased, but like that's my parents. Those are my elders. Always have been. There was no miss. Like, it's just cool now. So it was just, you know, hey, it's cool to just sit down in front of on the porch and, you know, whatever, you know, drink or smoke a blunt with your grandma, and then, you know what I'm saying? But like that wasn't the case back in the day. You knew what your uncle was doing in that back room probably, but they ain't just out in the open, just do everything. Now everything is just out in the open.
No, you stayed in the child's place. You did. You stayed in the child's place.
But you know,
it's so often that these kids are in adult conversations.
Yeah, and
they're allowed to talk and try to be cool. I done heard people say, "Oh, my child, my best friend, and he didn't do this." I wouldn't dare. I have 2 daughters, and I know what I taught them and raised them. But if one of you all came and said, "Hey, Mackenzie or Deja did this, this, and this," I'm going to get on Mackenzie and Deja based on what you told me, because that's an adult coming reporting to me. I would never stand in your face and say, oh, my kid didn't do that, because out of sight, out of mind.
People
Right.
come to the
So,
school, they cussing
oh,
everybody out. I
I know,
know.
I know.
Oh
As
yeah,
as the officer at the school, they cussing. You not even there. You get more calls where you gotta escort a parent out than the kids, or you like they want to threaten
Mhm.
everything. They want to.
everything to
Oh,
go
don't
wrong.
and don't touch nobody's phone. You know what I'm saying? Don't.
Oh Lord,
It's
the
gonna be
phone.
all. They calling the mob
Another
up there.
thing I feel like that has stopped. Another thing I feel like that has stopped. My mom owns a funeral home, and she buries about 60% of Black Cleveland. And I remember, like, as a kid, there would be parents calling, like, "Hey, can I bring my kid up there? You know, can I bring my kid up there so that they could see, you know, a drug addict or a gang member or whatever?" And I have not heard about one call about nobody bringing their kids up to scare them to see, you know, somebody laying dead on the slab. Like, this could be your life.
Man,
Right.
Why have I stopped that? You know what I'm saying? Let's start that back up. Call your local funeral home.
yeah, when
Hey,
they
I heard a brother got shot down the street. Can I please bring my kids up there?
Right.
I mean, I don't want to see them, but my kids need to, because this
I
could
think
be
Taz,
them.
let me say this to you. They don't, you haven't received the calls because all they got to do is walk outside now and they seen
yeah
it. They're numb to it. They already seen it by the time they 5, 6, 7, 8 and up. So
yeah.
that's not
It's not
a
even no
wake
big
up call
thing
for
to
them
them. Our
anymore.
kids is
Yeah.
they numb to the violence. Like that don't even affect. You know, I, like last year was a murder out in front of the Rex and in the parking lot, and
Example.
basically the kids were we had until the coaches were told to to cancel the practice or we couldn't play no game. I mean, the kids, you know, they looked when they heard the shots, but other than that, and this was 7, 8-year-old boys that's playing football, like, but this every day. This is not no,
It ain't new.
like back in the days that you're looking at it like, okay, but it's accustomed to it now. Everybody is just like, okay, that's a way of life. Like, oh, that was gunshots over there.
Tanisha,
I
what were you
think
about to say?
I think you guys both had mentioned it earlier. We have lost, I guess as the generations have gone by, we have lost accountability and responsibility in our community.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't take responsibility for what's happening in our neighborhood. We all want to sit out there and peek out the window, but ain't nobody, when they come and knocking trying to solve the crime or whatever, or trying to figure out what happened so we can get, hold somebody accountable. Don't nobody want to say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about this whole not snitching. It's not snitching. It's protecting your community. It's making
Exactly.
your community stay safe for your kids, for your neighbors' kids, and for the kids down the street. It's not about anything, but we have to start being held accountable for what goes on in our neighborhood. If we don't like something, we have to say something. And it's not about trying to get somebody in trouble. If they don't want to listen to you and you try to make the changes, oh well, that's what it is. I mean, if you seeing a youth that good and well ain't got no business doing, and you approach them and tell them like, hey, I seen what you just did, and that ain't right. You don't need to be doing that, because that's gonna you're gonna wind up in some places you don't want to be. We start doing that, and they still doing what they doing. The consequences are going to catch up with them eventually, but we have to take that responsibility and be held accountable for what's going on around us.
Exactly.
You're right. And Tanisha, I tell the kids, they always saying snitching. I should they know they walk around there, oh, so and so is such a snitch. So I had to educate them on the difference between a snitch and a reporter. Because a reporter is simply stating the facts. But if you going around saying a snitch, then that means you had some kind of involvement in it. So are you involved in this for you to be mentioning the snitch? Because snitches work together. And the only thing they can be snitching on is your involvement in what y'all did together. Whatever wrongdoing. And then they come back, oh, Miss Jones, you trying to play us. No, Miss Jones not trying to play you. I'm just showing you the difference. Because if you come to me saying, oh, so-and-so snitched on me, then you had some kind of involvement. So what was your involvement? Right?
Exactly.
So are you the reporter or the snitch? So they know when they come to me, Miss Jones, I'm coming to report. Yeah, okay, get it right.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then I also talk about that in my book because I wanted to start like basically deconstructing some of these fads that are out there. And of course, the Black community, we have so many of them. And policy, I'm not for it because I really think that it does a disservice to our community more than it does a service. And I talk about how
what policy? It kind of went
The
in
no
and out.
snitching.
the no snitching policy, the no snitching rule. I feel like that really does a disservice to our community because of the fact that it doesn't help us at the end of the day. And then we like to chant and sit up here and say, oh, you better keep it 100 with me. You better keep it real. But how? Because if we think what lying means, how to lie by commission or omission, part of that. So either you want me to be true or you don't want me to be true. And if you're true, then you're enforcing me to lie. So I can't keep it 100 with you. And I talk because I'm like, we got to stop living contradictions. I understand stuff is a fad. I understand it's cool, but we live in a contradiction that's keeping us stagnant in so many areas. And we definitely need to work on that. Definitely need to work on that. So, okay, so I had another topic that I want to talk about, of course, because I want to highlight on the different views about the police killings. And I found this insert from a book from Dr. Joy DeGroy, and I'm gonna read it to you, and I want you to tell me what you think about it. So, of course, it's about, did I say it's about police killings? Did I say that already?
Yes.
Good. All right, so it says Norm Stamper, a white 34-year-old veteran police officer who served as the chief of police for the cities of Seattle and San Diego, has a unique insight into the criminal justice system. In 2005, he wrote a book titled Breaking Rank, in which he exposed what he described as an inherently racist and hopelessly flawed criminal justice system. He carefully details how he and his fellow officers in the police academy to view Black men as being their major threat and enemy. Stamper devotes 2 chapters to racism, why white cops kill Black men, and racism in the ranks. He explains what is motivating white police officers to single out Black men for deadly force. Stamper states, simply put, white cops are afraid of Black men. We don't talk about it. We pretend it doesn't exist. We claim color blindness. We say white officers treat Black men the same as they treat white men, but that's a lie. In fact, the darker the Black man, the greater the fear. The African American community knows this. Hell, most people know it. Yet, even though it's a central, if not the defining ingredient in the makeup of the police racism, white cops won't admit it to themselves or to others. So what do y'all think about that?
I agree.
I think it's true.
I think inherently,
Totally agree.
even in my experience as a nurse, some of my white coworkers, now everybody who come into the hospital ain't all, friendly, and it's a lot of us who are just outright rude and ghetto. I'm just gonna put it like that. We rude, we ghetto, and it's for no apparent reason. Mm-hmm. But my white coworkers, you can tell they fear us, because if I come talk to them a certain way and I'm rude and ghetto, they like, oh my God, they're being so nasty, blah 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 blah. But when a white person do the same, they not acting like that. But when it's somebody like us, especially a Black man, you can feel the fear in them. And I'm like, what you scared for? Like, stop being scared. People have fear. And it's the same thing, I think, with the police. Like, they feel that Black men, they fear them. For whatever reason, they fear them. And it's like, it's no reason to fear them. They're a human being just like you and me. They skin color different, but that don't make them no different.
Have you all seen the movie Reefer Madness?
Who?
Have you all seen that Reefer Madness? It's
No.
like it's like one of his first movies, and it has like blackface, like these white actors, they're black facing, and they the whole basis of the movie is that black men smoke weed and go out, and the weed makes them want to go rape white women.
Oh.
And I mean, if you ever get a chance to watch the movie, it's disgusting. I mean,
And it's called
they
Reefer
have
Madness.
white men in brown paint, and they are literally climbing. Yeah, yeah. And they're literally climbing around like they hop out the woods. This white woman's walking, and they're like, like a monkey climbing around, and they like, run to the woman like, I'm gonna rape you, and it's just like, oh my God, black men, no! And she runs into the town, and black men, and everybody's like going crazy. It's insane. And even though they're trying to say like, oh, black men that smoke weed are doing this, you know what I'm saying? It's the weed. The weed is the underlining, like, oh, it's the weed that's making them do this. It still puts that fear, and this is like in, I want to say the 40s that it came out, so it's like, wait a minute. Black men that's how they walk around here, and they just want to rape our women. I mean, and it starts there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and of course this starts long before that, but this is a movie that like and I think we underestimate how movies influence us.
Mm-hmm.
How much of an impact movies have on us. People cry watching movies. Movies change your whole mood, and to be able to put fear in someone's heart, if that's possible, that movie can do it.
Yeah, definitely how it was it way back in the day. I can't think of what is it called. Was it called The Birth of a Nation? The one where they had the white actor in blackface, and it was portraying how all black rape white women.
Yeah.
And she basically jumped off. One of the white women jumped off the cliff trying to get away from the black man, saying, "I would rather kill myself than a black man." And that happened way in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, when they keep reinforcing this stereotype and this connotation about black people, that's exactly what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm. Well, one question you asked, and I guess I can share this with you all, just being a female and a former police officer. From my experience working in a police department, I worked in an urban police department. And even though we were in an urban area, of course, the police department was predominantly white, and predominantly male. Yeah. So on many occasions, I was reporting to duty only female on duty. If I wasn't the only female, was maybe one other. So my experience, just looking at it from a law enforcement perspective, I found that in my inquisitiveness, that a lot of white males joined the police force for
power,
other issues that they didn't address coming up. And so because they have their own different frustrations or whatever, they felt the need to come to an urban area to become a police officer to take out their frustrations, which is clearly not the proper or appropriate approach. But I know this based on conversations and then things that they did to my people. And so it was an internal conflict, meaning like interdepartmental conflict, because people that know me know I'm not going to be quiet and I'm not going to let this happen. And you think I'm going to be on this call with you and you're going to violate people. I don't care what color you are, whatever. But of course, the neighborhoods that we already know who they're encountering. You're not going to talk disrespectful. I don't care what we're arresting them for. You're going to treat them with dignity and respect. We're not judges. We're not the jury. Right now, we're law enforcement. Our duty and responsibility is to make sure the elements fit that crime that they're being accused of, properly handle them, convey them to where they're supposed to go, and our job is done at that point unless we're called to testify. So it's been arguments on top of arguments where they tried to sabotage me, the whole nine. And I was in there. So as far as anybody, and I've had people try to say, oh, that's not what happened. I lived it. So don't tell me it didn't happen. And then it would be primarily white male officers, cracking jokes that were very inappropriate. And I'm going to say something. And so it's always, oh, Jonesy, you always got to be, the damper person or whatever. No, you wear a badge, you wear that uniform, be professional at all times. Exactly. You're not going to get to talk crazy about women. You're not going to get to talk crazy about other races. Sometimes it was jokes about Arabs. Well, we're going to hit this Arab store and this. No, you don't get to do that. People are people, and you're going to be professional all the time. So it was an inner conflict to the point where my last years of law enforcement, I ended up driving solo because it got that bad. And I was willing to go out there in a car and risk my life answering calls just so I didn't have to be subjected to the verbal abuse and the physical abuse that they were doing to our people. So let's just be real. And when I say our people, I mean people that's living in low to middle economic settings, because that's the kind of areas we patrol. So not only was it racial disparities, but it was also economic disparities as well. So it was low income people that they also attacked, regardless to what their race, nationality was or whatever, So from that perspective, and I'm telling y'all, just from what I know, a lot of them joined the forces for the wrong reasons, just so they can, before we had all the, concealed carry laws and the CCW laws and all that kind of stuff, before we had that, this was their avenue so they can carry on the streets and do whatever they needed to do. And I mean on and off the clock, because it was incidents where they weren't on that particular law enforcement department's clock and they were carrying that gun and doing different things with a department issued weapon. And this is before we had like all the social media and all that kind of stuff. But again, I done typed several different reports and complaints against these officers and it disappears, or I'm being threatened that if you don't drop this, something's gonna happen to you. But the difference is either I was just pig-headed or just naive to the fact, but I didn't stop.
Right.
And so that's what it's gonna take for a lot of other officers to stand up and not stop.
Exactly.
And to stand up and speak. Even to the point where we had some that looked like us that was doing harm to us. And I wasn't gonna stay. I wasn't gonna stand and let that happen either.
That's
And so of course, it was called, well, you light skinned and you're acting like that. No, I'm just not gonna let you mistreat our people. I don't care what color you are. So I'm not even gonna do the black cop on the black community either. So it was, like I said, it was a whole lot of dynamics. And this show that used to come on, and I'm trying to think of the name of it, where it had a series of episodes where it was basically the plot was it was a gang within the police department. I can't remember the name of it, but it gave a clear depiction of what goes on in police departments. It's gangs in the police department. And I don't got to speak to the gangs. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Those particular groups, I think Brandon mentioned, they were a certain...
Was it the white show?
Oh, it was... I can't think of the name. I have to email it and tell you. I can't think of it, but that was the basis. It was basically a gang within the police department. And they were showing how they navigate and do different things. And unfortunately, I can relate to a lot of the stuff that was happening in there because it really happened. And a lot of police departments brush that stuff under the rug. And it's not just the white cops. That's my thing.
People don't want to.
Thank you for still even showing up to go to work, because I can't imagine the emotional turmoil you went through having to make those decisions on a daily basis. Like that's incredible. Thank you. Thank you for being there for us. Thank you for still standing up for us.
And so I have family that's currently on the force. And so
I'm sorry, Brandon. Go
that's what
ahead.
no. I was just saying I have family currently on the force. And so I worry about them now, because people are just standardizing this and saying the cops,
Yeah,
but we have
oh,
good people there of all races, ethnicity, everything doing the right thing. We just have these idiots in there who are posing as police officers and are really identified as another entity.
I know.
Again, as Brandon
if
spoke about. So, I mean,
people sometimes could get like, you put all this onus on the police department. Like, I understand, like, the police can ultimately kill you or whatever. You can use your life to deadly force from an officer. But working in the school system, you have people that are not. They doing more damage to your kid. They not using no physical weapon on them though. You know what I'm saying? They not there for. They don't even have a nowhere near connection. The same like the officer that drive in 70 miles to work every day to work in the Cleveland 4th District. You got a teacher that drive in 70 miles that, from another group that want to go teaching, at school on Kinsman. Ain't nobody going in there. They'll take your check, but they don't want to invest into what what they have. But like, as far as just seeing somebody as a threat, I've talked to, black officers. I know officers that for me, do most of my work is in the 4th District that work and live in the 4th District, and they don't have no problem. Everybody in the neighborhood know they the police, but they treat the people with respect. There's some people that when I was it was a kid. I grew up in CMHA, and we had an officer that lived on our estate, and he patrolled like, I don't know why CMHA set him up for that. And he was a black officer.
that
So,
was
I
my
mean,
partner.
they shot his house up because he was just a notoriously a-hole.
That was
I
my
mean,
partner.
Wow.
but like, seriously, if she,
Sips tea.
no,
So you
because she
already know what I'm saying, right? So you
yeah.
already know.
So if she worked with them people, I already know half of the people that, that it was a sole purpose. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Now, just in the back, I don't know what years, but just in general, I know me being a teenager, me being a kid, it was like, listen, man, you've been working in this neighborhood all the time. You know who the boys that sell drugs are. You know I'm not one of them. Why you want me to lay on the ground for? You just seen me get off the bus from basketball or whatever. Like, it's just those type of things. So, but it's you this is their last shot. I mean, like when we get to mixing and having babies by white girls and stuff like that, like, you was eliminating a race. They not going for that. So you are initially a threat. I teach every young man I got encountered with this. You gonna have that coming. You gonna have that encounter in your life. You got that coming. I don't care what type of grades you get, what type of money you make. You got that coming as a black man in America. You got that coming. So what you do in that moment, or how it might sound crazy, but I teach my kids to survive the encounter. You survive the encounter, we can work it out in court. And once you learn to sue somebody or know that you got backup, and those are the type of things. It don't always work that way, but they going to, you know, I've gained weight. I mean, but I've been 6'2" since I was in 8th grade. So, that's what I'm encounter. Some people they gonna be scared of you coming in through the door. Just automatically. You can't raise your voice in the staff meeting. People gonna look like, oh my God,
You're
if
intimidating people. Oh my God,
yeah, we
Brittany.
got me and there's another teacher that work in my school. He probably the same guy, that I was. He may be 6'4", big guy. But if me and him start talking, they'll think we about to fight each other or something. But we know how we just dialoguing. So things like that is like it's just intimidating factor. But go back to the movies and everything. If you never leave your house, if you never encounter anyone, if y'all don't have black sons or husbands or boyfriends and things like that, you would be scared of black men too. If you just turned on the TV, if you believe that, if you watch social media and you turned on the TV and you just never really encountered none, you'll be intimidated. Because guess what? When you go into certain, I can't go over there. You know what I'm saying? So how do we charge the officer when you don't want to go on 93rd either? When you don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Oh, I ain't going over there. Most people are constantly in fear of black men. Even black men have fear of black men. That's what we really have to start to overcome. But my thing is, I'll be able to move freely because I don't put no bad karma out to nobody. So I just got this foolish thought in my head that you don't want to do nothing to me. But I know I'm always going to be on my guard. But my simple message, you go back to Farrakhan, is want for your brother what you want for yourself. You treat me the way I want to be treated. So if I can handle me somebody disrespecting my child, then I could disrespect someone else's child. But if I can't handle that, I got to look at them kids. I got to look at the person I encounter because I've been treated in situations where I might have been wrong inside the law. And I guess because the way I was raised, I just, admitted to what I done. Like, I ain't even about to sit up here and go back and forth and make no scene. Like, some of us, it's too much. This is social media, these camera phones and everything else. Like, I'm not going to say that we getting ourselves in trouble. It's supposed to cost you your life, but we got to stop trying to make everything a scene. It's trying to go viral with everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, what you going through all that for? You wrong. Some of the stuff we got to stop doing goofy stuff.
Yeah.
You right, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. If you driving a car, if you know you're gonna be like selling drugs or you know you're gonna be doing whatever, like at least have a valid driver license. Make it just real easy for somebody to pull you out the car. You don't have no license.
Exactly.
You got everything, like get a license and insurance. And unless they have some probable cause, no, you can't search my vehicle. But like just to be riding around in this, oh man, they racist and they doing this, they doing that. Like, no, man, some of this stuff we got to, they trained to be intimidated by you.
Right.
And they not about to shoot you in your legs. Center body mass is how they are trained. Dead man tell no lies either. Nobody trying to just, stop the threat means if they use a pistol, it's called deadly force. It's called deadly force for a reason.
All right. So then, with everything that everybody has said, how do we move forward? How do we get it out there to help us progress in a positive, appropriate manner? What can we do?
Let's start charm schools.
You said charm schools?
Yes. Etiquette schools, charm schools, like a little gentleman's club. You know what I'm saying? Like let's start something for the kids, give them a sense of pride, in etiquette. Like I take pride in my manners. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So let's do something like that.
Okay, piece of the pie. All right. You saying etiquette school, charm school?
We could take her to etiquette school. Send the kids there. I think etiquette is great, And I'm quite sure Ms. Jones could testify, like the biggest issue we facing is time. I can show your kid everything, but if I only deal with them 6 hours a day, there's a whole nother 18 that they gonna go back to a chaotic environment. So we not gonna service the whole people. We not gonna bring in the change is in our neighborhoods and deal with the parents and the families and everything else around it. Like, we just got to go back to our roots. Black Wall Street and all those things was able to, to be honest with you, integration messed us up.
That's what I say all the time.
When you could not go nowhere else, when you couldn't go nowhere else, you had to stay there. You could become a doctor, you could become a lawyer, but you only could live in a certain area.
Right.
You only could, we have the bus boycott 20-some years after we had black bus companies. So once they said you could ride the white buses, what happened to the black ones? The companies went out of business because now we want to be happy that we fought so hard to be able to ride on the regular bus or their bus. We stopped riding our own. Mm-hmm. We want to look into something like there's no other reason. I heard you mention Minister Farrakhan, and that's one of my favorite individuals.
Oh yes.
One of the reasons why Minister Farrakhan is alive today and still alive is Minister Farrakhan is always preaching separation. Mm-hmm. The moment you start talking about bringing everybody together, you got to go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's real simple. It does not mean I do not like white people or I dislike them or things like that. It just, to me, is real simple. I got to love me first and everything about me. It's gonna go from there. And it's like we can do business, and that's what we're supposed to have, a business relationship. I'm trying to get off into this like that. I'm not asking that officer to go home with me. I'm just asking him to give me my ticket so I can go home and he can go back in his car and go home. Mm-hmm. And you know what I'm saying? It ain't no. I'm not asking nobody to I don't want to lose my life because I wrote a bad check. I don't want to lose my life, you know what I'm saying? Because just, because I had a pack of Skittles. I don't want to lose my life because I was a 12-year-old boy playing with a gun in the park and everything I know, because that's what my job, that's what I did for so many years, is run a rec center. Somebody went in the rec center first and said that boy was out there playing with that gun. And somebody probably said, man, I ain't going out there because Mr. Brandon, I know my kids. Man, get in here. You don't have the, I'm sorry, son. You don't have the opportunity to play like that. Mm-hmm. That's a life lesson right there. You have no opportunity to play around like that. Exactly. I'm not going to excuse that behavior, but some of the stuff, we have to get back to the whole approach. You have a baby. And right now, we going to have 50 people at the gender reveal party. We're going to have 150 people at the baby shower if we have it after the pandemic over. But the moment little Johnny turned 10 and in trouble, mommy can't find one person to assist her. What happened to all them damn people that was at that baby shower?
Exactly.
We had to start building the
village. We push our village away too.
We had to, but I'm saying we had to build them up, like because it's a time, it's a structure. When you could be having a, not to say I'm going to push these agendas, but like, look at them, they got the blueprint. Now they want to build homes in Tremont. Nobody wanted to come to Valley View.
Right.
Nobody wanted to live over there. Right. That whole strip on West 5th on the left side, because the right side is still owned by CMHA. Mm-hmm. The ones on the left side was all drug houses that they paid maybe $1 or $2 for the land, and they put $200,000 to $300,000 homes on. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And she know what I'm talking about because they was working down there. Nobody wanted to go down there
at all.
But guess what? Now you put them in there, they get a land for nothing. They build a house. They got a decent job. They trick you out of your spot because you believe now I could go move to Garfield or something like that. You know, I didn't arrive, but I'm gonna go to stay down there. I'm gonna get a $600 mortgage, and I got my, $100-some-thousand job, and I'm cool. But we gonna get $100,000 job and go get a $1,500 mortgage. So we want to be the second black person on the street in Solon. You know what I'm saying? Nothing wrong with that, but we want to stay out there and we chasing and we working, wrapped up into work and everything else. But we can live in some of these areas and say we're gonna take over here. We go to church down here. We get our hair done down here. Everything else, but we can't live down here though. But how about everybody? If 9 of us that's in this meeting stay on one street, now we got an officer. We have somebody that knows about marijuana stock and everything else. Like we could really do some things.
Exactly.
Because we productive. Now we ain't broke and we ain't angry and mad at each other. So we can send her down the block to the etiquette class and Mr. Brandon gonna take you out to the Black History Museum and somebody else gonna show you this and all those things like that. But we don't have those things. We got to put accountability on the places that we have, the churches. Can I go to my church and get a business loan for my business?
What if we did that? What if we pulled our money and bought an apartment complex or an apartment building to start? What if we did that and we started buying the street? Us, the 9 of us. You know what I'm saying? That's definitely something that's doable, I think.
Not even just the 9 of us, us, period. Black folks, period. Like,
got decent credit.
We ourselves in financial literacy. We are financially illiterate in a lot of facets, especially when it comes to purchasing power and also purchasing homes and purchasing buildings and things like that. Like, we think it's so cool. Oh, well, I know how to flip a home and do all this. Okay, good, because that's a part of your asset. You can fall back onto something. But you got to give everybody else that education too. Let other people know what you know as well. And I think we at a place where we don't necessarily want to teach everybody else because we so busy worrying
in competition.
Somebody gonna go my idea. No, it's for us all to flourish, because if you think about it, we got the money in our pockets. We have the money in our pockets.
Yeah.
Spend the most in this country, and we let everybody else, get a piece of our money. Why can't we let ourselves get a piece of the money? So, like right there, the education right there needs to be there. We need to be definitely educated in finances and all that.
But the thing is, though, we as a people in general, we so worried about, let me get fresh and have, $1,000 shoes on and all this to impress whoever we showing off to. And once that picture gone and the next thing roll down the feed, you done. So you done spent all your money on some material stuff just to impress everybody else. You know what? The biggest issue is we as a people are so concerned about other people's opinion validating our work instead of knowing and understanding and respecting and manifesting our worth on our own.
Exactly.
I don't understand it. If you look at the wealthiest people in the world, I ain't never seen them with no Louis Vuitton on, with all the signs and symbols, no Gucci bags.
No Gucci, no Gucci, no Balenciaga. They ain't got none of that.
And I should name my favorite person in the whole wide world is Sean Jay-Z Carter. And all the money he got. And Jay-Z might have rapped and sang about that, but when y'all see him in the public light, do y'all see him with a Louis belt on? Do y'all see him with any of that on his back? All that stuff. I mean, it's all about growth and matriculation. And I seen, and it teed me off. I seen somebody put on there with all this writing going on. Where Jay-Z at? Y'all know he worked covert.
Right.
Don't think it ain't happening. It's happening. And I'm gonna quote him. He said, "I'm a businessman and not a businessman." Okay, and people that they don't get it, they don't understand what he means. And he didn't get that way overnight. He learned and he grew just like we did. You know, we done did stupid stuff. We done went out and partied our little money away in college, had our fun and all of that. But we've grown and we've learned different things. And what y'all talking about this community wealth and this building of wealth, it's happening. It's just not happening with us. And I got one friend, Caucasian.